improved skills can double your output and your profit. Now, step 3, bag it right. Local sales, use 25 kg or 50 kg sacks. For export, your charcoal must be dry, dust-free, and neatly packaged. Now, exporters deal in 20-foot or 40-foot containers, each holding up to 25 tons. So let's go to step 4. Know your market. If you're selling locally, look for suya sellers, grill restaurants, and food vendors. In urban centers like Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt, and in Nigeria, charcoal sells fast, especially during festive seasons. Now, exporters, on the other hand, deal with buyers in Germany, UK, Belgium, Israel, UAE, and more. You will need a registered business and export license from NEPC and reliable logistics partners. That's very important, isn't it? So let's move to 5. Learn network. Grow. You need to network and you need to grow. The charcoal business is not enter and blow. No way. You need to learn the ropes. Join export forums, visit charcoal hubs in places like Oyo, Nasarawa, Kogi, and even Ogun State. Build relationships with local producers and study what foreign buyers want. And yes, think beyond just lump charcoal. There's briquette charcoal, eco-friendly, compressed charcoal made from agricultural waste, and that's the future. It's cleaner, greener, and already catching fire somewhere far off Africa. If you get small capital and you no load, this business they pay you. You fit load one truck and make better money. But customers and forest wahala, if it spoil your market, oh, so yes, there are risks. The government can clamp down on deforestation. Poor quality charcoal can ruin your reputation, especially with international buyers. Export delays, customs seizure, they are all real. But with knowledge, structure, and strategy, you can turn charcoal into gold. So here is your takeaways. Charcoal is not just for the poor man's stove. It's for the smart man's pocket. It's a hustle, a venture, a serious export commodity. And whether you start small or go global, it is very much a cash craft. Remember, this isn't professional investment advice. It's a spark, a mental wake-up call that opportunity is often found where people don't bother to look. Until next time, I am Grace Komolafe, and today, what did I do? I have actually helped you to turn smoke into substance on Cashcraft.
Hello and welcome to Just Africa, the show where we explore the forces shaping the continent's progress and the challenges that often go unnoticed. Today we shine a light on an invisible barrier: data poverty. Now, in many parts of Africa, a lack of access to reliable data or digital tools keeps communities in the shadows, yes, undermining social work, policy making, and economic growth. Now, the question is, how can Africa tackle data poverty to empower social workers, strengthen development programs, and unlock opportunities for millions? This is Just Africa, reaching you live from our studios in Lagos, the tallest city in Nigeria, and possibly in Africa. I'm Olumide Shukoya. I have my co-anchor, Omevi Dolon.
Hello.
Welcome to Just Africa.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Lagos. Good afternoon, Nigeria. And good afternoon, or whatever time it is in your region. Good afternoon to you. And welcome to Just Africa. Olumide.
So glad to have you. So we're discussing data poverty. Quite interesting topic. You know, when you look at our schools, when you look at a lot of things, you know, reliable data is key to every other thing. I mean, till now, we've been talking about having a consensus. We've been having so many things we want to do, but having reliable data and digital tools keeps you in the know of what is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had issues of ghost workers in the ministry, in the civil service.
Yes.
We've had so many things. You go to the police station, you can't find one single computer. I mean, and you're wondering, how do you even keep track of suspects? You bring in the station and, you know, for references in the future and all that. It's a whole lot. You go to our schools. I mean, in advanced countries, students, I mean, pre-teens and even 8-, 9-year-olds are studying coding.
Yes.
They know about, well, thankfully, we've included artificial intelligence into our curriculum. But how many schools, apart from the private ones, how many public schools are well equipped with digital tools to be able to teach? We're talking about how to get education to the rural areas. If we're going to get education to the rural areas, we must have digital tools. They must have digital tools whereby they can, you know, on the tab, on their phones, they can learn, you know, things they don't have to necessarily go to the classrooms for. So it's a whole lot.
Yes. You know, this data poverty we're talking about, I don't know how social workers are able to carry out whatever services they are rendering. Because if you do not have the number of people in a community and you say you want to go there to render services, how do you do it? How do you know the number of children that are out of schools? Okay, I want to go to school and give them learning materials. How do you know the number of children? And some critics have argued that some leaders, politicians, they deliberately hoard this information for political gains.
Yes. There's that thought.
You understand?
Yes, there's that thought that, you know, in as much as we say we are over 200, some people say we might be under 200.
Good.
Some might even be more than 200. But people tend to use that as an advantage so that when their allocation comes, you can use that to get more for your...
Exactly. Now, if we do not tackle this problem, we are going to have more problems in the future.
Definitely.
Because right now, some leaders, some ministers, commissioners, councillors, they don't even know the number of people in their wards, in their constituency, in their states. So when they render some of these services, when they give out whether loans, whatever it is, you know, most times people don't feel the impact.
Yes.
It's not because those people are actually not doing the work, but because there is no data, there is nothing to prove, to show that these are the number of people that are benefiting. It's just look as if you are just doing things. We are walking in the blinds, in the dark, I mean to say. So people just feel, okay, it's not necessary. So for a social worker, which is something we're talking about right now, for a social worker to be very, very active, to be able to carry out his or her responsibility effectively, you cannot throw data away.
Yes, you can actually throw data away because data actually is very, very important. And I remember when they started sharing this bag of rice that they were sharing that time, as a result, to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal, you could see one community getting just one bag of rice, and that's a result of
my God.
non-availability of data. I mean, if you know how many people reside in a particular community, you'll be able to take care. I mean, we always say that people are multidimensionally poor, or Nigerians are a certain percentage, but how many actually? We say the youth population is 60 to 70%. How many actually? How can we say Lagos is overpopulated? How many people are actually in Lagos? We have Lagosians, we have people, non-residents, we have even non-indigenous, non-Nigerians living in Lagos. And sometimes these people might even come out to vote. People might enjoy certain benefits that, well, it's being provided because as a result of them being resident of a particular state. So we actually need to know all these things. We also need to know how many births and deaths are going on in each state so that we have that accurate. The only data we rely on is CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, to know how many entrepreneurs we have. We have the BVN, Bank Verification Number for banks. We have the NIN. Those are the only verifiable data that we really have, that most people are really making use of. But we don't. But what about the unbanked? What about those who don't have a bank account, who don't have NIN, who are living in rural areas? How do we capture them? How do we even? And those are the people who actually need the social intervention that we talk about.
Yes, so another importance of having the right data, the correct data, it helps governments in planning. It helps you to plan for the number of schools, just as you rightly said. How many schools? Even some of the leaders, do they know the number of schools they have in their community, in their states, in their constituency? No, they don't. So we need it to plan for schools. We need it to plan for hospitals. Like you said again, do they know the record? Do they have the accurate records of the number of births and deaths that we have? I doubt. So we need that. It helps government to plan. It helps even businesses to grow. You know, is it in China or Japan where they have the law where you can't have more than a child?
Yeah, but if we've seen
yes,
because they are underpopulated.
Exactly. But you know, Olumide, you will also agree with me that it's going to take a period of time for these people to readjust to the new policy, for you to have more than a child.
Yes.
But within the period that they stated that you should have just a child, do you know they were able to plan for everybody?
Yeah, they were able to plan for everybody.
So if they had not gone that route, do you know that by now they will not even be able to say that we are underpopulated or overpopulated? So these are the importance of data. So now maybe these are the number of families. If each family had a child, this, they were able to put their resources together. They were able to, we are lucky in this area, so let's do it. So everything is planning, ensuring that yes, we have the correct data. Then we know how to reach out to people. You cannot bring, Lumide's word. You cannot bring one bag of rice to a community to come and share. Now, what is that?
All right, so we'll go on the short break. We have someone standby right now via Zoom who will come in and shed some more light on this data poverty. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudiecenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Madagascar, the world's fourth largest island, stands as a geographical and ecological marvel of the southeastern coast of Africa. Isolated from the African mainland for over 80 million years, this island nation has evolved into a biological treasure trove found nowhere else on Earth. Over 90% of its wildlife is endemic, meaning it exists only in Madagascar, including the world-famous lemurs, baobab trees that look sculpted by myth, and an astonishing array of reptiles, insects, and plants. This extraordinary biodiversity has made Madagascar not only a focus of global scientific research, but also a symbol of nature's ability to evolve independently and richly. Beyond its natural wonders, Madagascar is home to a deeply diverse and culturally layered society. The Malagasy people trace their ancestry to both Southeast Asia and East Africa, making their culture a rare and fascinating fusion of traditions. This dual heritage is reflected in their language, rituals, architecture, and belief systems. The Malagasy language, derived from the Austronesian language family, is one of the few of its kind spoken on the African continent. This cultural hybridity also extends to cuisine, dance, and storytelling, blending African strength with Asian intricacy in daily life. Madagascar's history is equally distinctive. It developed powerful pre-colonial kingdoms, including the Merina Kingdom, which unified much of the island before French colonization in the late 19th century. Unlike many African countries, Madagascar experienced a relatively centralized monarchy before colonial rule. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, the country has navigated political instability, economic hardship, and natural disasters. Yet, it continues to strive toward democratic governance and sustainable development. Strategically located in the Indian Ocean, Madagascar is positioned as a crucial maritime node for trade, conservation, and regional diplomacy. Its economy, while heavily reliant on agriculture, fishing, and mining, is beginning to explore tourism as a sustainable development path. The island's unique biodiversity, combined with its warm hospitality and rich cultural heritage, makes it a compelling destination for ecotourists, adventurers, and scholars alike. In the face of deforestation, climate change, and poverty, Madagascar's story is one of resilience and irreplaceable natural wealth. It serves as both a warning and a wonder, reminding the world of what can be lost through neglect and what can be preserved through global cooperation and local stewardship. Madagascar is not merely another African country. It is an ecological arc, a cultural crossroads, and a national identity unlike any other on the continent. I'm Moyosore Adebiyi for SOUQ News TV. In an age of artificial intelligence and automation, it is easy to overlook the value of hands. Yet in Ghana,
Welcome back to Just Africa. Today's topic is data poverty and social work, the unseen barriers to Africa's development. Joining us live on Zoom to unpack this robust topic is Uzwanya Kenneth. He is a PR head, Intergenerational Rescue Foundation Incorporated. So glad to have you, Kenneth. Kenneth, can you please unmute your mic, please, so we can hear you clearly? Kenneth, have you unmuted your mic? Can you hear us? All right, I think we have some form of network glitch.
Yes.
So as we were talking about data poverty, it's a lot of people might wonder, what is data poverty? I mean, we have all kinds of poverty. What is even? But you know, you need this data to do a whole lot of things. For instance, now, the company where we work in, if they are going to pay our salaries, they need to accurate data of how many people, not just how many people are working, how many people came to work during the month, how many people were not working, how many people were ill, how many people were on leave. They need all this data to be able to do so many things. Also, if the company wants to expand, want to do so many things, they need data to know that, oh, in this particular department, oh, we need certain amount of resource personnel in that particular, we are lacking in this. So data is actually very essential. So with the community, so with a local government, they know where they are lacking. They know the health centers that they do not have enough equipment. They know certain places, certain rural areas that are underdeveloped, certain rural areas that need certain things peculiar to that particular place.
Yes.
Data is what helps them, so that year in, year out, administration in, administration out, they already know what. So if a new administration comes in with the data readily available, he knows that, oh, this is where I'm, this is the area of focus. This is where I'm giving priority. I mean, you need data to also know, flood is actually worrying us right now.
Yes.
You need data to actually know the particular area. How many people have suffered? How many people have been displaced as a result of flood? Data is quite, very important.
Yes, so like you rightly said, some people think poverty has to do with just money. It's far beyond that. And when we talk about data here now, we're not talking about internet. There was something you mentioned earlier on about government workers, who are ghost workers, actually. Yes. Do you know that most states, most local governments don't even know the number of staff they have? So you see someone who was working in one of the government's ministries or wherever, and the person decided to decided to relocate. But that person is still receiving the salary. Why is that? That's to tell you, because there is no data. There is nothing that is showing that, okay, this person has left the country. This person is no longer working with us. That is, will I say mismanagement of information or what right now? I don't even know how to say it. Because if you have everybody's information, maybe it's high time local government secretariats and all that stop this paper thing. It's high time they stopped it. And let's go back to digital. Even if we say we're still going to operate digitally, we still have to continue updating the information of your workers. How could someone resign? Okay, which means the person did not resign.
Yeah, he did not resign.
You left the country, you went to another country, not that you are in another state, in another country, and you are still receiving salary. Is that not theft?
Yes, it's quite interesting. That's where digital tools come in. That's why private business is now, you have biometrics, so you clock in, you clock out every single time. And in fact, you clock in any department, any offices you're entering, you clock in, you use your ID card to as an access into that particular office or department. So that's where digital this and then also some people who resigned, or probably who might have died during the course of work, their names are not taken out. We've seen situations whereby you worked in a particular office, you left that office, and you collected salary. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Olumide, I still feel that we need to do better than this. It's not even a feeling. I think it's the right thing, actually. We can do better because there are so many disadvantages to data poverty. So many disadvantages. Like we mentioned earlier, it hinders progress. So we cannot continue to say that for whatever reason, maybe for personal reasons, or you are just being emotional, or because you know that there is something you stand to gain, then you feel it is not necessary to have people's data. No. Then it means you are just wasting resources. You complain of ghost workers. I remember, was it when Governor Oti of Abia State came into power and he decided to do a thorough weeding? How many people, by the time names were coming out, you will discover that you are just overspending. Like a father in a home, sorry, I have to use the man as an instance. You just go to work, you just feel all that my wife needs at home is money. Do you really know what the money is needed for? No, you just give and take. 40,000 is okay for her to run the home. Hello? How? Because if the man has a deep knowledge, okay, this is what this person does with this money. Okay, cost of things are on the high side, okay, this amount, certain amount of money won't be enough for her. Okay, by the time I give her this and that, she'll be able to manage it, of course. She will also know, okay, this is how to go about it. It is, in fact, data is not just for government. Data is not just for social workers. Data is not just for private organizations. It is for everybody. It is for everybody. You talked about water. Now, do you know that there are some communities that are still dealing with water from the river? And someone will tell you, yes, I have drilled a borehole, community borehole there. But do you know how many people, I remember growing up, when we go to the borehole to go and fetch water, the queue of kegs will be from here to the road because it couldn't serve the community. The people were just too much. So I think maybe if there is a study that helps leaders, that helps social workers to go to understand the importance of data, maybe people can go for trainings. I believe there are trainings like that, how you'll be able to carry out is the research on how to know the number of people. But then traditional factors also come in again.
Yes.
Religious factors, they tell you that there was a man I knew, when you ask him, how many children do you have? He will tell you he does not count children, but I have 5 boys and 3 girls. But he will not tell you I have 8 children. He said because it is a taboo for you to say, for you to count the children. So even during the time of census,
it just gives birth to children.
I have 3 girls. So then during census, we have the religious group that says they cannot bring out their daughters to be counted during census. So you see, this
that has to do with that's a literacy.
Yes, so there is a whole lot.
People need to also be educated why data is important to them, because if you say you don't want to bring your child out to be counted, then you might possibly miss out on some of the benefits, social benefits that you're supposed to enjoy as an indigene of that particular community or state. And I feel it has to start from the local government. If we were very serious about this, from the moment a child is being born, the records are taken. But then again, it's not everybody that goes to the health center or the general hospital. Some people patronize the midwives, the local midwives, the communities. Some people give birth at home, so you cannot really capture every other person. In the rural communities, how many health centers do they have and all that? I remember there was a particular governor who, whenever you give birth to children, you will be given 500 naira. I'm trying to remember that particular every mother will be given 500 naira. And the interview was asking what was that for. So we also need, to understand why we need it. That's why, you find it very funny when some of these social workers go from house to house trying to immunize their children, and some people say, no, I don't want that, because they feel some type of way. But, that's another way of understanding what these data are used for. It's used for planning.
Yes.
So that the government knows that this is the actual amount of unemployed people. So that when opportunities come out, maybe, for instance, the government decide to expand in some ministries, they know that, we have X amount, okay, we have 100,000 unemployed youth or population, and we're opening a new department. If we can half this and bring them into the civil service, we have taken care of half of that. So we know that we have just 5,000 or 50,000 unemployed youths or population we've taken care of. That's how so when things like that come, when new initiatives come up, there's a problem already. How do we solve this problem? How can they benefit from this? That's actually the way to do it.
Yes. That's true. You then experience I have been with a social worker once or twice, and there was something she complained of then, and I'm like, okay, what is the frequent barriers that you always encounter? He said lies. I'm like, lies. He said, people tell lies a lot when it comes to rendering services, especially when it has to benefit them the most. They just want to take more than necessary. I said, but the problem lies with your people. Did you go to that community to make inquiries? Did you go to that community to ask questions? The answer is no. So you just came, and the people just felt, okay, let's just do it. And okay, we are from so place, and the people just the people accepted, because before you can just go into a community and you did not inform anyone, whatever you see, you take. He says, so the challenge is when they give out some of these things that they came with, some of maybe just a pack to give to them, you see a family taking more than one, taking more than necessary, even when they do not have need for that particular thing. Yes. He says, so that's one of the challenges they face. Then another challenge they have is language barrier.
Yeah.
That in communicating certain things to these people, it's difficult. So most times they are always asking for the assistance of the government. They are asking for the assistance of traditional rulers, youth leaders that can actually speak the local dialects. So one thing they do, they try, according to her, what she does, when they want to go to a certain place, they look for someone who can be part of the team. They don't mind paying. If the person is not a member, they get the person, we have to pay you for this day, so you can help us communicate with those people. By the time they do that, fine, then they'll be able to say, but language is a major barrier. And like you said, illiteracy is a big problem in Africa, in Nigeria. Yes. You agree with me that in the northern part of Nigeria, most of the young ones there are not very educated. They don't really send them to school like we do here, especially the girl child. So they are still advocating for that. Send these children to school so that we can have a better society. But it will take the efforts of leaders, those in power, to make certain policies to help create this awareness. But there is little they can do when it comes to creating awareness in that area. So they face a whole lot of challenges, and I really look forward to that time where solutions will be professed to curb these problems, and we'll see how we can have a better society where you can know, okay, I'm going to my local government, these are the number of people in my local government. So even during elections, you will know, okay, these are the number of people you are expecting to come and vote. You are expecting this number of people to come and register. Not just assuming then halfway you say the materials are done. Come on, no.
All right, so we'll go on a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program. Stay tuned.
Cashew nuts, ranked among Ivory Coast top cash crops, play a crucial role in the country's economy, generating substantial revenue and supporting livelihoods across the country. As the world's leading exporter of raw cashew nuts, Ivory Coast contributes an estimated $800 million annually to its economy, and also serves as a vital source of income for over 410,000 families, particularly in rural areas where few other opportunities exist. Cashew trees flourish in Ivory Coast northern regions, including Bondukau and Savannahs, known for its high-quality nuts and extensive plantations, just as Worondogu and Bagwe in the north central and northwest are also emerging as key producers. These regions not only drive Ivory Coast cashew production, but also support local livelihoods and economic growth. However, the country with over 29 million citizens is yet to fully realize the potential of its cashew industry. Despite being the top producer, the country processes only 7% of its cashew domestically, resulting in lost opportunities for value addition and job creation. Specifically, A recent data reveals that only 22% of the country's cashew nut output was processed domestically in 2023, even as the volatility of global cashew prices poses risks to farmers' income and overall economic stability. Concerns also arise regarding labor practices in some cashew farms and the environmental impact of deforestation for new plantations. To address these challenges and maximize the benefit of its cashew industry, Ivory Coast must focus on key strategies moving forward. These include investing in local processing facilities to boost job creation, export value, and farmers' incomes. Furthermore, the Ivorian government body overseeing the cashew sector, ARECA, must promote fair trade practices and ethical sourcing to ensure better prices for farmers and improve working conditions. Sustainable farming practices will also help to protect the environment and ensure long-term cashew production. According to a recommendation made at a workshop organized by the World Bank, tax exemptions and access to credit facilities will help to tackle some of these challenges. Furthermore, the private sector can also invest in research to develop high-yielding cashew varieties, improve processing techniques, explore new cashew products, as well as develop and implement digital platforms that connect farmers to market in order to facilitate financial transactions. Organizations like the Africa Cashew Initiative, ACI, must also assist in data compilation in the value chain at macro, meso, and micro level. By addressing this and harnessing its cashew potential, the country can further enhance its economy and build a more sustainable future for its citizens. Israel Adeyemi, reporting for SOUQ News.
Cocoa remains a significant cash crop in Nigeria, predominantly produced by small-scale farmers in the country's southwest region. Historically, cocoa served as a major source of foreign earnings until the 1970s, when the discovery of petroleum shifted the focus away from agriculture. Despite various challenges from its introduction in 1807 to the present, efforts by successive governments and the resilience of cocoa farmers have sustained its production. To better optimize productivity and ensure fair prices for farmers and high economic returns for the government, the Cocoa Marketing Board, CMB, was established in 1947. However, the goal was not totally achieved as pricing policy weren't favorable, discouraging farmers from producing export crops, and that eventually led to the board's abolition in 1986. This resulted in reduced yields and lower quality cocoa beans. Meanwhile, the millennium era witnessed a shift in farmers' focus towards more economically viable crops like oil palm due to the high cost and intensive care required for cocoa production. Cocoa production faces several obstacles, including limited access to fertilizers, unfavorable climate conditions, pest infestation, poor infrastructure, and land shortages. Also, herders' attacks on farmers have deterred farmers from expanding their farmlands. According to research, despite challenges, cocoa production has empowered many farmers and more stakeholders in the value chain, improving their living standards, enabling them to provide education for their children, cover medical expenses, and build better homes. Concerning the future of cocoa farming in Nigeria, there are mixed opinions among farmers. Some are hopeful that government's reinvestment and addressing current challenges can revive the sector's past success. Others are pessimistic due to the persistent issues and the trend of farmers shifting to other crops. Regardless, hope remains for the sector. Solutions like improving land-labor relations, infrastructure, and financial support could revitalize cocoa production, reduce out migration, stabilize prices, and enhance value chain development, ultimately securing a brighter future for Nigerian cocoa farming and its stakeholders. Ojai Michael, reporting for SOUQ News.
Human ingenuity has birthed remarkable innovations, none more so than the rise of intelligent machines. Computers, once small calculators, have evolved into sophisticated systems capable of mimicking human thought processes. Powered by artificial intelligence, AI, these systems are learning, problem solving, and making decisions that were once exclusive domain of humans. From accelerating scientific discovery to tackling climate change, AI's potential is vast, but perhaps its most profound impact lies in healthcare. Artificial intelligence, AI, it's no longer a futuristic concept. It's here with the potential to revolutionize patient care, diagnosis, and treatment. AI is emerging as a powerful tool in the hands of medical professionals. From detecting diseases early to optimizing treatment plans, AI is demonstrating remarkable capabilities. It can analyze vast amounts of medical data to identify patterns and predict outcomes, aiding in more accurate diagnosis. Also, AI-powered robots are assisting in surgeries, improving precision, and reducing recovery times. However, despite its promises, challenges persist. Concerns about data privacy, ethical implications, and the need for robust regulatory frameworks are hindering widespread AI adoption. To fully unlock AI's potential in healthcare, collaborative efforts are essential. Healthcare providers, researchers, policymakers, and technology companies must work together to develop and implement AI solutions responsibly. By addressing ethical concerns, investing in AI research, and creating supportive regulatory environments, we can accelerate the integration of AI into healthcare and improve patient outcomes. Joy Chuma, SOUQ News.
Cocoa has more than tripled in costs over the past year and is up 129% this year. The rise in cocoa prices is likely due to a global cocoa shortage. Climate change-induced drought has ravaged crops in West Africa, which contributes around 80% of the world's cocoa output. According to the International Cocoa Association, global cocoa supply will decline by almost 11% over the 2023-24 season. The world produces nearly 6 million tons of cocoa beans each year, and consumers may begin to feel the impact of this shortage by the end of this year or early next year. Nigeria's cocoa earnings in the first quarter of this year surged by 279%. Driven by a sharp increase in its prices in the international market. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBC, indicates that in the first 3 months of the year, the value of cocoa exports totaled 408.66 billion naira. This represents an increase of 279% from the 179.5 billion naira recorded in the first 3 months of 2023. When compared to the preceding quarter, total cocoa exports
Welcome back to Just Africa, the program where we explore the bold ideas shaping the continent's growth and its place in the world. Today, or this segment, we will focus on a game-changing frontier, digital transformation and artificial intelligence across the globe. Now, artificial intelligence is redefining industries from finance to healthcare, education to agriculture. And for Africa, with its young population and fast-growing market, the opportunity is massive. But so too are the risks. The big question is, can Africa harness digital transformation and AI to unlock a true competitive edge in the global economy, or will it be left behind in the race? Now, in this segment, we dive into a fascinating conversation, the digital transformation and AI, unlocking Africa's competitive edge in global economy. Joining us to unpack this robust topic is Okpayemi Awotunde. He is a digital transformation and AI strategist, a mentor, and innovation leader in Africa's tech ecosystem. So glad to have you this afternoon, Okpayemi.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right, so let's dive in. Africa is often described as leapfrogging with mobile money and digital tools, but the digital divide remains wide. Where does Africa currently stand in terms of digital transformation compared to the rest of the world?
Very good question. First and foremost, I'll say that compared to what people might think, Africa is doing very well in terms of innovation space when it comes to AI and digital transformation. But the thing is that, our challenges are quite unique. For example, some of our startup companies in Africa still look to the West for certain ideas that they can incorporate into specific African challenges. However, in terms of the uniqueness of our challenges and how we're navigating the uncertainties around building our own specific solutions, I think Africa is literally on a lane of its own, and I think the world is going to catch up with us pretty soon.
So do you see artificial intelligence as an opportunity for Africa to catch up or as a threat?
Absolutely an opportunity. I wouldn't say as a threat because with every opportunity comes some form of threat, and how you navigate those threats even develop into bigger opportunities. So I'd say I see it as an opportunity. I'll give you some examples, right? Currently in agriculture, we're talking about precision agriculture. And what this does is we have machine learning models that can help farmers predict their crop yield annually. Some of these models take into consideration the temperature of the soil, the pH of the soil, the humidity in the environment. Some of the things that were not possible many, many years ago. With a click on your computer, you can literally understand if this year is going to be a good year for you as a farmer, and if not, what do you need to do in terms of how to remediate, some of those things that might affect your yield. So I see that as a big opportunity. And the earlier we start developing, very unique solution and start joining conversations globally, I think the better for us as a continent.
All right, thank you very much. I want to ask, you said at the beginning of when you started talking, or you started by saying that yes, Africa has done well in terms of AI and the use of technology generally. So I want to ask, how do you measure the success of Africa in terms of AI and technology, looking at the rest of the world?
It might be difficult to measure. And the reason why that is difficult to measure is because the situations are not the same. Like I've said earlier, Africa has a unique set of challenges. And unfortunately, part of those challenges, I beg your pardon, is leadership. So if we take leadership out of the question, assuming that we have leaders that are proactive and are focused on, enhancing the technology and the solutions that come out of Africa, let's assume that we have that. I think young innovators in Africa are almost at the same pace, with the rest of the world. And I'm talking China, I'm talking the United States, I'm talking Europe, and all of these places. But the difference in why we are not having as much popularity, if I can use the word, is that we don't have the right environment and we don't have the right voice, for the rest of the world to hear us. So I think this is one of the problems I've seen.
Okay, thank you very much. Another thing right now is everyone is moving to AI technology. If you're not into that right now, it's as if you are in a different world or a different planet entirely. How important is this to people who are into small and medium scale enterprise?
I really think that any serious business person in small and medium scale enterprise space should leverage technology, because the reason is your business is still growing. You can't even afford all the things you need to scale. And that's where technology comes in. Um, in the tech space, we talk about technology as an enabler. So it helps you when where you can't help yourself. For example, if you're a small business person and you are into exporting, there are AI solutions that are even free out there for invoicing. There are AI solutions for tax management. There are AI solutions for customer call inquiries and dispute resolution. There are AI solutions for compliances. So I feel that small business that are serious minded and really want to scale begin to need to look at what is our business process end to end, and where can AI come in, or where can technology come in and help us facilitate more progress in that space. So this is how I would advise any small medium enterprise to think about the use of technology.
All right, so let's look at artificial intelligence on a larger scale. Globally, AI is projected to add trillions to the economy. So what specific sectors in Africa do you think will it perform more? I know you mentioned agriculture. So is it agriculture, healthcare, education, fintech, or others that AI could transform most dramatically?
Thank you for that question, because I think intelligence can affect a lot of industries. I'll give you a few ones and I'll tell you why, and also try to provide some use cases to help our viewers understand what I'm trying to say. Financial services is one of the industries, the banks rather, the banking space. We also have the mobile banking space. Um, there are certain processes in the financial service space where the bank needs to understand who their customer is, where they live, all of those data capture. AI can affect that. AI can help them get to knowing the customer better. AI can look at customer interaction on the internet to determine what type of products, what type of financial products they'll be able to afford. So you can use artificial intelligence for that kind of process. In terms of compliance as well, with government regulations, with the global regulations, AI can help you read a lot of documents and give you a summarization of the key things you need to know as a business. So that's financial services. In addition to that, it's also fraud detection. I know that some banks have optimized their fraud detection process from just being rule based to now intelligent based. You know, if you're trying to access credit right now, I know that there's AI available that checks all the parameters that needs to be checked before they can give you access to credit. So that's for the financial services. In addition, I know that currently in China, AI is helping students learn better in terms of how their sleep pattern affects their retention time, and how also the environment, the lighting in the classrooms, how it can affect the learning of a child. Artificial intelligence is using all of these basic data points to enhance the lives of students in education in China already. That's a use case for Africa that we can adopt. There are tractors now that are being built that have the capacity, while they are cultivating the soil, to be returned back to you, you know, the data that they are gathering in terms of soil nutrients, in terms of the water level, in terms of what you need to do as a farmer in that space. People are using drone to also map out their farmland to see if there is any weed, that can prevent yield at the end of the day. People are using laser technology to extract weeds away from soil compared to fumigation, that we used to have in the past. And also in healthcare, people are using artificial intelligence. Countries are using artificial intelligence to do risk assessment, early detection of diseases that could lead to lifelong incidents at the end of the day. I know that currently in John Hopkins University, there is a professor that uses artificial intelligence to analyze X-rays and be able to tell if there's going to be a potential problem. It could be inflammation, it could be tumor growth, it could be fibroid, and all of these things. So these are just examples of industries that I feel have the capacity for Africa to quickly launch and make a statement on the global scene when it comes to AI?
Let me be a bit practical. Some people are of the opinion that AI would drive a lot of people out of their jobs. I mean, if you look at what AI is doing now, AI is taking the place of a whole lot of people, and some people are scared that they might be out of jobs. I mean, even as a presenter, we now have an AI presenter. So what's your opinion in this sector? Do you think that by 2030, maybe half of the jobs, people will be out of their jobs, and AI would have taken over a whole lot of things?
I think for me, my perspective is that it is not AI that will take your job, but the person who knows how to use AI would replace you. I think AI is raising the bar for what we know the workforce to look like. I'll give an example. For your situation, a presenter who comes to the television station, you have what you need to say, you know what you're trying to do, and then you try to do that every day. But think about it, if you have an AI avatar that can represent you in multiple locations at the same time, doing what you're doing, and you can configure that with your voice, with your face, and then you can deploy that across multiple television stations that might need your services, and you don't have to be in all of these places at once. So my perspective has always been AI is raising the bar across multiple industries, across multiple roles, but that's not why you're going to be out of job. The person who understands how to use these AI solutions will be the one to replace you. So that's my perspective.
Thank you very much. So looking at some of the things you've mentioned, you've talked about the use of drone, we've talked about telemedicine, we've talked about fintech and the likes. Now, some of these tools that requires the use of AI, some of the apps even, are very, very expensive. The ordinary person on the street may not be able to afford these the gadgets needed for them to use AI. How do you think those challenges can be overcome in Africa?
It's a very valid question. However, I would say that there are free platforms right now that allow small businesses to quickly deploy and test simple AI solution for their work processes. I know that Amazon gives up to about, I'm not sure about the figure, but some $1,000 in terms of cloud credit, where you can deploy simple AI solutions. I'll give you an example. Many of us use ChatGPT in our daily activities, and it's free. It's really free for now. I mean, if you don't have to do too many complex things, the basic version is free. Even the latest model that was released, ChatGPT 5, is still free for people to test and use. So as a business person, if you're making, let's say, some million in Naira monthly or quarterly, you can afford a $20 subscription for some of the solutions. If you don't have a complex business process, you don't need a complex solution or a complex cloud environment. I think the companies that are leading right now and developing some of these solutions have also thought about Africa, while they're thinking of their price point. So I think it's affordable. And if you can't even afford the affordable, there are free solutions that you can use. So I think it's a question of, are you doing enough research to be able to find out what solutions are available to you if you can afford the paid solutions?
Do you think Africans are skilled enough? Do you think they are trained enough to be able to use this AI, the technology? Do you think we have the enough knowledge? Considering the fact that most times we Africans, we do more of consumption than production. We don't produce most of these things. So do you think that the things we even try to get from outside the continent, do you think we have the required knowledge to operate them?
This is a gap that we've also identified. I currently run a training camp where we train business executives on how to leverage AI in their organizations and then cascade that training to their team members, right? So it's a gap. There is a learning gap, right, when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence and some of these new technologies in organizations. So we need to have more people who understand it, begin to make content about it, to educate people. And we also need the organizations that believe they are AI ready to invest in consultants who can come in and help them close this gap. Um, the other thing I would say is that the government has a role to play in also closing this gap. It is quite unfortunate that the curriculum in our universities don't currently match our continent's reality when it comes to technology. I went to one of the best universities in Nigeria, but the programming language I learned is no longer in vogue by the time I graduated. So we need our education institution to be um, revamped in order to match the realities and the demands of the market. And also, we need business leaders who think that their organization can use AI for certain things to invest in learning, to speak with consultants who can come and help them close those gaps. So I think it's a decision that has to be well thought through and heavily invested in. Because other than that, I don't see how this gap is going to be closed, and that further takes us down the leaderboard. You know.
All right, thank you very much. So now the question is, should African schools and universities rethink their curricula, to prepare students for an AI-driven economy?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no overemphasizing the fact that we need to look into that. I'll give you an example. I know a university in the United States right now, AI does half of the teacher's job, and I'm saying from setting exam question, not even exam question, from the curriculum level, setting the curriculum, setting the objective of the course, creating the video content of the course, um, attendance in the classrooms, um, performance analytics of the students, to grading of the exams, and then all what the teacher has to do is appear in class, clarify questions, teach, and also be there to support the student. Now teachers do more of guidance than actual hand holding and all of that. So we need to revisit our curriculum to see what part of our learning process or what part of the education system is outdated and what part do we need to bring in order for the talent that we're churning out to be relevant, not just for Africa, but on a global scale.
All right, thank you very much. So tell me, we were talking about some other thing here earlier on. If you look at the rural communities, they are the ones who suffer most when it comes to the digital divide. They are just there. And we need to also start looking of how to get them on board to be able to use this AI in some certain things, just like you said, have drones in their farm, in local farms that monitors a whole lot of things. So how do you think the government can begin to integrate the rural communities using digitalization and AI?
Thank you for that question. I would not limit my response to just the government because the government definitely has a role to play. But more importantly, Africa Innovators has a role to play. You see, our challenges are unique, and I keep saying this everywhere I go. Like, Africa Innovators need to start thinking about Africa. You're building a solution, try to compete with a company in the US, in Portugal, in Spain, but there are real problems in Africa that technology can solve. For example, I know a young man by the name Ulubenga who um, designed a particular power pack battery, you know, that can be distributed to rural communities to help them have electricity for up to, I think, a week or 2 weeks. You know, he studied in Canada, and that innovation has turned into a company called Ready. He came back and he started his business in Africa just to ensure that that problem is solved. So it is important that Africa innovators also begin to see that we have unique challenges here, and eventually, by the time the world sees what we are doing, they will understand that the opportunities here are much more than the opportunities elsewhere. I'll give another example. In Rwanda today, there's a company called Zipline. Zipline uses drone technology to deliver blood pines into rural areas where there are no road networks because someone is sick, needs a blood in the hospital. Before you get there, something else might have happened. Disaster might have struck. So this company went into Rwanda, built their facility there, and now they deliver blood using drones to rural communities. That wasn't a government initiative. That was an innovator who feels like this problem needs to be solved. So I'd say that the government has a role to create an enabling environment to help us develop the infrastructure on which this technology will be built. Also, the young innovators and the innovators that are coming out of Africa should begin to look at these unique challenges and create solutions directly, to solving them. It's a two-way partnership, in my opinion.
Right. So, what is a major overlooked sector in Africa that you think, or you believe that it's ripe, for digital AI-driven, takeover? What particular sector?
Do you think education? I really believe education. Yeah, I believe education is well overdue for, an overhaul. I think it's well overdue. And with the technologies that we have now, it's easy to do. It's really easy to do. All we need is a management system for the classroom, for the students, and then we need an administrative part of that system for the teachers or the professors. And then we need to create environments, smart classrooms, and government needs to pay teachers better. If it means you need to retrain the teaching workforce, government needs to invest in that. So I think education is well overdue, and if we begin to look into that particular sector and do what we need to do, leveraging all of these tools, we will see a change across major industries in the country because education is the bedrock of any civilization.
Yes, all right. I like where we're tilting to, but I'm also looking at how we can factor affordability because you mentioned something which is quite interesting that would benefit all. You said smart classrooms. You know that quality education in Nigeria doesn't come cheap. That's why parents patronize private schools more than public schools because they are well equipped. So if we're to move even a step further, to digital platforms and AI, how can we make it more affordable? Where do you see the government coming in, and even the private sector?
They said there are solutions that we need to build, and these solutions can be built by us, right? We don't need to adopt um, an external solution for our challenges. I don't see how today, with the amount of talent we have in Nigeria, we can build an end-to-end solution that manages student education. I don't see how that is impossible. That is something that is possible as far back as 2010. I mean, I'm just putting a year to it. So it is not possible. It is not the most complex thing to do. You know, the other part of it, which is the infrastructure part, would be government intentionally, following up with. I mean, we have education budgets year in, year out. It might not be a lot right now, but the use of these funds, is it driving us towards a sustainable future? Is it creating, talent that the world would envy at the end of the day? If you look at some of the funding and grant opportunities that come into the education space, what are they being used for? In the United States, for example, a professor would have two, three students that are on some scholarship or some sponsorship. They do researches that companies use. In Nigeria, that's not the case, or in Africa, that's not the case. We don't even have the right professor-student relationship. So, what are these funds used for? The TEF funds, the grants coming from companies like Slumberger, the oil and gas companies, the MTNs, what are these funds used for? So I think we need to have a strategy, a national technology AI strategy, and see how this affects, different sectors. The United States has one that they update every year. A lot of countries in Africa, like Kenya, they have an AI strategy. So we also need to look at what is our AI strategy and how does it affect this sector, and how does the budget aligns with that. So that's how I'm thinking about this. before we then begin to talk about affordability. Let's even make use of what we have, and see how much of that people need to actually pay for at the end of the day.
All right, thank you very much, Okpeyemi. Now, I love the stories right now. Uganda, they are into telemedicine. Nigeria, we are known for fintech. Kenya, and the rest. But I want to ask now, which of the African countries do you think is good enough to be a tech hub for Africa? And you know that this country, they will ensure that technology, AI, succeed in Africa.
I really think that Nigeria is well positioned to be on the top of the leaderboard. I think Nigeria is well positioned. I'll give you reasons. We have a very young population, and we have highly talented people, and we also have the numbers. And then in terms of the amount of people who are already in tune with the rest of the world in terms of technology, I think Nigeria has exported more talent to other part of the world, technology-wise. A couple of our developers work for companies like Stripe, work for companies like PayPal, work for companies like Square, Twitter, work in Google. I think Nigeria, if we can come together and build a solid technology hub, we are well positioned to take the lead. And I think Kenya is also doing a great job. Rwanda, like I mentioned, is also doing a great job. The government of Rwanda is really making sure that there's an enabling environment for technology solutions to thrive, innovative local technology solutions to thrive. So I see Nigeria leading the board if the right systems are put in place. Now,
okay, so I want to ask, I believe you have some people you mentor right now, right? You have people you mentor?
Yes, definitely.
Now, what role does mentorship has to play in accelerating AI and tech transformation in Africa?
Mentorship has a very key role to play. And one of the things I would say is that people who have done things that are great in a sense begin to need to find a way to use their platforms. It could be social media, it could be blogs, to educate the younger generation. We mentioned something earlier in our conversation about the dysfunctionality in the education sector. What alternative do we have to that? It's mentorship. You understand what I'm saying? It is mentorship that we have as an alternative to that. So I believe that people who have done things that the world has acknowledged and admire begin to need to look at how can I mentor a group of 5 young people. It could be 5, it could be 3, it could be 10, it could be 15, depending on the capacity you have to accommodate. So mentorship plays a key role in order to set the direction, the vision, and also to help the younger ones navigate challenges that they might find. For example, one of my mentors, his own goal is to help locally Africa innovators get into accelerators in the United States and get them some grants, occupy, and mentor people through. Another person can stand up and say, my own mentorship will be based on creating learning content to help younger adults or younger innovators quickly understand how AI functions and how they can build something simple on their own. So we have a couple of them on Instagram, we have a couple of them on Facebook, but we need more people to join these voices to amplify them. So mentorship do play a key role, and I think people need to start lending their voices,
Strategist, what is your own style of mentorship? What are you mentoring the younger ones to do?
For me, my style of mentorship is I really want to see people have the confidence to do what they want to do. I really want people to tap into their innate ideas and have the necessary skills to create it. I'll give you an example. As a young man, I actually struggle with having bright ideas, but I don't know what next to do. I don't know if the next thing is to write the code or if the next thing is to um, go to the market and get some money or talk to. No, I don't know the next step, but I have this idea. I could sometimes even write it on on a piece of paper. But what's the next step to take to actualize that dream? So my style of mentorship is to help them take their ideas from 0 to 1. Simple, break it down, provide them with the tools they need to use. If possible, connect them with somebody to help them build the minimum viable product for them to test it out. Also, create some buzz around the people in the media space that I work with to see if truly there is a market for their solution. You know, that's my style of mentorship, and that's how I mentor people at the moment.
All right, thank you very much. So, what is a unique AI-driven competitive advantage that you feel Africa could actually create that global powers will find it very hard or very difficult to replicate?
You can say that one more time, please.
All right, so I'm saying what unique or AI-driven, competitive advantage could Africa create that, global powers would find it very difficult to replicate?
Thank you very much. I think that the opportunity already is there because the problems that we have or the challenges that we have, the global powers don't have them no more. And if you know anything about the African mind, the way we solve problems is tied heavily to our culture. We solve problems in a cultural way, and that gives us the leverage and advantage that we need. So I believe that in terms of our medicine, the rest of the world has developed a lot of different medicine, but African medicine is so potent that even the world power envy, the potency of it. Just imagine we can use technology to package and brand it and understand how exactly or what exactly is in this medicine that makes it potent, and then we can take ownership of that. We can have the patent and keep it here. And whoever needs such medicine can needs to always come back to us, to get the value that they're looking for. So I believe that if we look at what we've been able to do, even when technology has not existed, and we try to replicate those things using technology and keep them within the continent. I mean, you've seen the popular movie Wakanda, the way they have a unique technology, and then the rest of the world needs to come and understand it before they can replicate it. I think Africa has a lot of advantage because how do you tell me you can make a full mobile banking application work and then you don't have good internet? That's a unique way to solve a problem. Imagine the grid in the US goes down today. That solution will be needed in the United States. So, and that's why I'm saying the challenges are already presenting opportunities for us. We just need to tap into our inner self and then create unique solutions and wait for the world to come to us. We already have the advantage.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Opeyemi. Looking at 10 to 15 years from now, 10, let's say 2035. Looking at it from now, where do you think Africa economy stands if we get AI, or rather if we got AI and technology right in Africa? Where does our economy really stand?
I think it's going to really do well. I'll give you an example. We have refineries that are not functioning in Nigeria, for example, and then we have the new one built by Mr. Aliko Dangote. AI, automation, robotics can actually solve, the problem of offshore repairs and get this refinery functioning. If you get what I'm saying. So imagine we have robots that can operate this refinery that are controlled virtually. Imagine what that would do to our economy. Just one more refinery, just one more. And I know that we have a couple more than one, about 3 or so. So imagine we can use robots to fix those. Imagine what robots can do in our warehouses. Africa does not, Nigeria particularly does not even have a proper e-commerce system. We don't have a proper e-commerce system. We hire people, business owners are talking about the issue of theft. we can use artificial intelligence to solve some of these problems. So I believe that if we get technology right and we get AI right, the sky is the limit for us. The sky is absolutely the limit.
Hey, I love the fact that you mentioned some robots and the likes. There is this popular bank in Nigeria that imported robots into the banking hall maybe a year or two ago, not too very long ago. They brought in robots to help do some of these transactions. So you don't have to go in and meet a customer service personnel face to face. Just talk to the robot. And you will agree with me today that the robots has gone into extinction. It has, in fact, we didn't hear from it again. Do you think that we have what it takes to really manage these AI tools, using robots, again, as an instance? Do you think we can actually maintain these things, these equipments?
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, bringing robots to manage operations in Nigeria or any part of Africa, I don't think is as complex as Aliko Dangote building his refinery. I don't think it's as complex. If Aliko Dangote could build a refinery, I know it's capital intensive, but if he could still do it regardless, I don't think managing business processes with artificial intelligence or robots is so difficult that it cannot be done. The problem is, do we have the right people with the right knowledge to manage, these systems when they come? I'll give an example. I don't see any reason why people go to Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Nigeria, in Lagos, to queue for long before they can actually get verified to where they check in their bags. I was traveling from Dallas to Atlanta recently, and all I need to do was go in front of a computer and I just scan my face, scan my passport, and I'm done. There's a solution for that. Guess what? There's a company in Lagos, Nigeria that has that solution. But the question is, why has it not been implemented in our airport system? Because we just enjoy chaos. The government of the day loves chaos. We don't want convenience for the people. So these things are not as complex as they seem. We just need a willing mind and trainable hands. That's all.
All right, thank you very much, Okpeyemi Awotunde. Thank you for your impactful and insightful discussion. Of course, we really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, this is where we will be rounding off today's episode of Just Africa. Special thanks to our guest for your insight, and of course, thank you for joining us on Just Africa today. Until next time, I am Olumide Shokoya.
And many thanks for watching. I am Omevi Idolor.
Augmented reality, AR, is a technology that merges computer-generated images with the user's real-world view, creating a composite experience. This interactive experience integrates various sensory modalities, such as things you can see, hear, and even feel, making the experience interactive and immersive. In recent years, the emergence of this transformative technology has seamlessly integrated digital and physical realms. This groundbreaking innovation relies on specialized hardware like smartphones and smart glasses equipped with cameras and sensors, AR software, and Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core. Then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR software such as Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR's applications span diverse industries from gaming to education, healthcare, retail, and manufacturing.
In education, AR enhances learning through interactive and dynamic experiences, while in healthcare, it aids surgical planning and medical training. Retail experiences are transformed as AR enables customers to virtually try on products and visualize furniture in their homes. Despite its potential, AR faces challenges such as technical advancements and user privacy concerns. Overcoming these hurdles will unlock even more seamless and immersive AR experiences, making it an integral part of our daily lives. As technology progresses, the horizon for AR broadens, promising a future where our interactions with the world are richer and more interconnected. Augmented reality is not just a trend, it's a revolution shaping the way we live, learn, and work. Goma Fortune, SOUQ News.
At the core of what makes us human is our ability to pay attention, be present in our experiences, and channel our thoughts and actions towards meaningful goals. However, for individuals with ADHD, which is considered a neurodevelopmental disorder, a medical condition that affects the brain, this fundamental aspect of human nature is often disrupted, leading to difficulties in maintaining focus, controlling impulses, and regulating behaviors.
This hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder that occurs in children and adolescents. It's a problem that has to do with brain development and the brain function. And the ADHD symptoms range from inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. They may be very restless, fidgeting, and they're always on the move. And sometimes they may be climbing, jumping from here and there. That they may injure themselves in the process.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is one of the most common mental disorders diagnosed in children, though it can persist into adolescent and adulthood. The history dates back to 1798, when a Scottish doctor, Sir Alexander Crichton, observed that some individuals were easily distracted and unable to focus on their activities as others could. He noted that these symptoms often began early in life, which is consistent with what we now recognize as ADHD. The disorder typically manifests between the ages of 3 and 6, with symptoms such as difficulty in focusing, excessive movement inappropriate to the setting, and impulsive actions occurring without forethought. This ailment affects people of all ages, though most commonly diagnosed in children. The average age of onset is around 7 years, with symptoms significantly impacting various aspects of life. Approximately 5 to 10 of children worldwide are affected, with the highest prevalence rates observed in Africa at 8.5% and South America at 11.5%. Variations exist across different countries, with lower rates in Japan and Finland and higher rates in Jamaica and Thailand. In the United States, about 7% of children are diagnosed with this disorder, reflecting an average of prevalence globally.
Differentiate between ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. It starts with comprehensive assessment. And when I talk about assessment, I mean assessment by child psychiatrists, assessment by child psychologists, and other professionals in the mental health team. And of course, there are some basic symptoms that are very clear and obvious. The clinical presentation, when you see a child that is hyperactive, that is impulsive, that is inattentive, that itself can give you a clue that that child may be having ADHD symptoms. And again, you also take further history. You may need to take, if there's a family history of ADHD in the setting, because if there's a family history of ADHD, the child may come up with ADHD in the nearest future.
Individuals affected faces challenges that extend into academic performance, work or personal relationships, and social domains. Some of the signs include constant fidgeting, impulsiveness, and difficulty completing alongside emotional struggles such as mood swings, low self-esteem, and frustration.
The diagnosis is made following a comprehensive assessment, and you also do some basic psychological investigations, and of course, by combining the report from the child psychiatrist and the child psychologist, you'll be very comfortable to make a diagnosis. And of course, I must say that there are some childhood disorders that may mimic ADHD, like learning disability, like autism spectrum disorders. But the symptoms of ADHD are so very obvious that when you see a child that is hyperactive and oftentimes restless, oftentimes impulsive and unable to follow instructions, that should give you a high index of suspicion that that child may be struggling with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
While it's not a physical ailment like a broken bone, it is a real condition that is frequently accompanied by other conditions such as major depressive disorder, anxiety, substance abuse, learning disabilities, conduct disorder, and oppositional defense disorder, which complicates the management and treatment of the disorder. Treatments for ADHD typically involves a combination of medical therapy and behavioral interventions. Stimulants are also the most commonly used, with 70 to 80% of children experiencing symptoms relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy, anger management, and family therapy are key in managing symptoms, along with educational interventions that enhance coping strategies and organizational skills. While these treatments help manage ADHD, they do not cure it, highlighting the need for ongoing support and personalized care. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is a complex condition with far-reaching effects on behavior, cognition, and emotional well-being. Continued research and effective treatments are vital in helping those affected lead fulfilling lives and contribute meaningfully to their society. Grace Komolafe, SOUQ News TV.
Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA, was created in 1997 and backed by Act 2019 to enable the federal government of Nigeria through Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation actualize its critical and strategic mandates to research, develop, document, preserve, conserve, and promote Nigeria's natural medicine defined as indigenous medicine. 4 Director Generals had steered the affairs of the agency since its creation 28 years ago. A new vista, however, opened in the history of the existence of the agency when Martins Emeje, a distinguished pharmacist and professor of nanotechnology, was appointed as the 5th Director General and Chief Executive Officer in May 2023. Before taking on the mantle of leadership at the NNMDA, Professor Martins Emeje was the chair R&D at the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, with many feats on drug formulation and R&D results to his credit.
I deliberately applied for this job. There was advertisement. I applied. I wrote the exam. It was an online exam. Nobody saw anybody. And 1 hour exam online. When you submit your answer sheet, you have a copy of the answer sheet. So I have the copy of the answer that I submitted online that day. And that is my manifesto. So every month, I look at the answers that I submitted, and it guides me in the work that I do. As a researcher and proudly the first and only research fellow in Nigeria who is heading a research institute, I know exactly the problems of R&D in Nigeria, because nobody in Nigeria has or is currently heading a research institute, and he went through the rank and file from being a trainee researcher to an intern researcher, an NYSC researcher, and then a research professor. This is the background that I have.
Call him a round peg in a round hole, and you won't be wrong, as he hit the ground running, leaving a lot of innovations on his trail, achieving great strides in the areas of education, agriculture, and health, thereby raising the bar in R&D in natural medicine for the agency. From May 2023, when he was appointed, within just a few months, 4 oral solid dosage formulation products were unveiled.
My greatest moment actually happened on 8th of March 2024, when the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, came to Lagos in the campus of NNMDA here to launch 4 oral solid dosage forms. It was not just the first time it was happening in NNMDA, the very first time it was happening in Nigeria. We decided that we will go for education as a major target, as a major KPI. And we went for it aggressively and got accreditation to start a 2-year national diploma in natural medicine. So this agency, for the first time in Nigeria, we now have a school of natural medicine. It's never been heard before. It happened in this administration within these 2 years. Within these 2 years too, because the country saw that we had made explosive advancement in this area, we got upgraded to what we call an awarding body for national skills acquisition in traditional medicine. One of the best medicinal gardens that you can find in Africa right now is in this country, owned by the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, and we did this these 2 years. In fact, two of our products that is waiting for Mr. President launch was we got our raw materials from our Nasarawa State Farm in Karo. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Cassava. The only country that competes with Nigeria is Brazil. Yet, Nigeria does not have value-added cassava products. Yet, Nigeria imports starch to make pharmaceutical products. we made a presentation to the National Assembly, and the Senate of our National Assembly supported us. So we went into development of pharmaceutical grade starch. Today, we have pharmaceutical grade starch. In health itself, we have developed and submitted to NAFDAC about 23 different products. 23. And they are all at advanced stage of NAFDAC's regulatory assessment at this point. Now, 3 of such products plus 5 of what we did the previous years is available, and people, because we are a research institution not capacitated or competent as by reason of mandate and skilling to do marketing, we do proof of concept, and we wait for entrepreneurs of pharmaceutical industries, nutraceutical industries, food industries to come take them to the market, right? But we also owe, because, like I said, the huge component of the Renewed Hope agenda is that people should be attended to, so that they know that they cannot lose their hope completely in their country. So in this environment, anybody who wants drug for hypertension, for malaria, for erectile dysfunction, for arthritis, for diabetes, for hepatitis, for about at least 8 different disease areas, they come to our pharmacy here to get the drugs.
The past 2 years, under the leadership of Professor Martins Emeje, has seen human capacity development like never before. A development that propelled the agency's researchers into breaking new ground.
This agency had never, in its almost 30 years of existence, had never participated in any local conference where researchers went with work they did in their own laboratory to go make competitive presentation. In our maiden outing in these 2 years, we won 2 awards. We went out for the first time and we got 2 awards. We took first position and we took third position. That is gold and bronze. When I came, I met researchers that have been here working for 15 years but with 1 degree. And I told them, you can't be a researcher with 1 degree. So I embarked on rigorous and aggressive drive to partner and collaborate with investors. So we went into that. Today, as I'm talking to you, we have at least 13 researchers and of the agency that are doing different postgraduate studies in different universities in Nigeria. I have a staff that was in Zimbabwe for 6 months. Now he has a master's in intellectual property. At least 7 of my staff have gone to India.
Quality assurance has been one of the top priorities of the NNMDA Director General, and the accreditation of the agency's laboratory and product development unit for pharmacy internship program by the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria a year ago. Under the watch of Professor Martins Emeje, the agency recently graduated its pioneer pharmacy interns.
I went into nanotechnology or nanosciences after PhD, and I had to go out of the country to train in this area for more than 4 years. So it's an area that I'm keen about. I'm one of the first people, if not the first, in Nigeria to have put in practice nanotechnology. What it has done to me as someone who studied Western pharmacy, which is more like macro study, it is that it has taught me how to manage resources, no matter how simple.
The last 2 years has seen NNMDA signing important memoranda of understanding with reputable academic institutions and other critical stakeholders in the areas of training and laboratory services to Nigerian universities. As part of its advocacy and public enlightenment drive, the agency brought together critical stakeholders in the nation's natural medicine space for a national dialogue on rethinking natural medicine aimed at galvanizing the needed support and political will.
I want the president of Nigeria to just be coming on television and saying that people, natural medicine, no other thing. Natural medicine, let's do our own. Let's do our own. Let him just be saying it. Anytime he's talking to press, let him say it. Because once people know that this is where the president is, this is where his mind is, this is what his body language is, they will start investing in natural medicine.
A turning point for the agency was the resolution of the National Assembly on Natural Medicine Gazette. The visit by the chairman, House Committee on Legislative Compliance, was a further demonstration of the renewed impetus.
We cannot have 160 million people subscribing to something, and then the remaining 40 million people, you now want to say that foreign medicine, what to call allopathic medicine, that is the superior to our natural medicine. No, it's not. So when the House of Representatives passed that resolution, I told myself, I have now achieved. So what I was thinking would take me 4 years to achieve, actually, we got it done in 2 years. And is one of the, so our target has actually increased. The best place to actually functionalize or operationalize Renew Hope agenda, Mr. President, is in the health sector. It's in the health sector. And I always tell people, 2 things that if you have security in it, then you are safe. Food and medicine. Any intervention, any project that we do, that it is not about developing our own indigenous resources, is short term. It's not sustainable. The only sustainable form of development is indigenous development. So anybody who wants to give me support now, I will just tell you what I want. For example, I want all my staff to live in this compound. If you go to other countries of the world, all these staff of the research institution, they live inside the compound.
Inspiring a new mindset among staff and attitude to work, for the NNMDA Director General, the task of achieving the mandate and the vision of the agency is work in progress.
Well, thank you once again for inviting me over. What would I say? Just doing a lot of wonderful things all over the world, working towards development of humanity in the areas of most especially sports development, football management, football administration, and other businesses I'm involved in. So that's what I've been up to. Well, basically, the National Sports Commission is there to ensure that sports development is put in a proper perspective. There are a lot of papers, a lot of policy papers, a lot of things that have been put in place. So they need to go into it, look at it, and structure something positive out for the development of sports in the country. I'm sure they have all what it takes to do it, and the zeal and the power to go ahead and put those things in place. So that's basically what they need to do. how the implementation is key. And I know, well, one way or the other, they should have the wherewithal to do it. So I wish them all the best. Well, you see, I don't like criticizing. I think I've gone away from areas of criticizing, but the standard of the league is very poor, and they have to put all efforts together to improve on the league. Also, the technicalities of the game, the manpower. We have to, we're still doing what we practiced 15 to 10 years ago, so it's not changed. So all those things have to change. We have to go away from the mediocre ways of running the game and put in more investment in development of the game itself. And the clubs have to be, it's so sad that we in Nigeria prefer to watch the Premier League compared to the Nigerian Premier League. It's a sad story. I remember 30, 40 years ago, you could go to the stadium and watch our local, amateur league, and there were standards. So there's no reason why we can't bring that back. It's the wherewithal, the willpower to do it, and the stem from, having to go away from the area of mediocrity, where we bring in professionalism. We have the people that can do it, without any doubt. But for the system to allow them come in and do those things is another question. How that is going to be done, we've talked about it for many years, but nothing has been done about it. I pray and I hope someday they'll put up the proper perspective and the willpower to do those things. When it comes to grassroots football, we really have to start with kids from a very early age. We must have we have to start with them from age 5 to 16, to 18, to 20. So you have to have a sequence, a system where you build around from the very younger ones, and you have a uniform structure. Number one, we have to identify the kind of football we want to play in Nigeria, our type of role, our ethos, what we want to play. And then we can now imbibe that, put it in our kids from a very early age. So from age 5, you go under 5 to under 8, under 8 to under 12, under 12 to under 16, under 16 to under 18. You have those structures in place. And it's spread around the nation. You understand me? Our local coaches, we need
National Institute of Sports.
Now, please, let's forget about the National Institute of Sports. That I use a word, it's been alamalized. That's a very poor system. It has nothing. We have nothing there. I'm serious. I'm not running anything. Our National Sports Institute is a disgrace. So we shouldn't be talking about that. Yeah. If you want to talk about a National Sports Institute, then you go to Australia and other countries and you see what it is. You see the standards. We don't have those things. Ours is archaic.
Is it beyond redemption?
There's nothing beyond redemption. It can be, we can work on it. We can develop it. We just have a time frame, work around it. See, there's nothing we cannot do in this country. We got everything possible to do it. It's the wherewithal. Do we have that mindset to do it? Are we ready for it? Those are the things we have to look at. Or do we want to continue with our mediocrity? But really, sincerely speaking, there's nothing impossible. We can do anything here. We've got great youngsters. We have to remove all this old, archaic way of thinking and then bring in a more modern, professional approach to things. So that's it. media is one of the most corrupt anyway, I'm sorry to say. The sports media and all that, the sports writers. I worked in the system, I know how corrupt they are. Majority of them are corrupt. I'm saying it. They can challenge me, but it's the truth. Until we get rid of all those things, where our boys go and collect envelopes to write or favor people, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm not saying the press, but the sports writers, I disgrace. See, the supporters club is not going to do anything or develop football. This is just to travel, get things. Oh, it's fine. It's good to have fans. But what has that got to do with football development? Nothing. Supporters club is not going to do anything. They're playing their own politics. You understand me? They want to travel. That's it. Travel around the world, do things. But is that part of football development? That is not football development. So let's leave that aside. We're talking about the professional, the technicalities, what it takes to develop national sides or a proper league. Then the supporters club has nothing to do with it. Do you see, how many people do you see at stadiums in Nigeria instead of watching football? Scanty, there's nothing. It's not like in the days where in the 70s or even in the 60s, if we are going to play a game at 4:45 in the afternoon, the stadium is full to capacity. At 11 in the morning. You don't have that anymore. So what are we talking about supporters club?
So who can bring that back, that passion?
Yeah, if you build a league that has the quality, the professionalism, and all the standards are put in place, then you can bring them back. Then you can bring the crowd back. I think it's very unfair to call it lesser sports. All sports are tops. Yeah, it's very wrong to call them. They're top sports. Basketball is tops. Athletics is tops. It's very wrong. I think it's very unfair to call them lesser sports. See, bottom line is the politics, the greed. You understand me? We have top talented basketball players all over the world. We could put them together. It's all about management. It's all about commitment. But you don't have those things there. It's about myself. It's all about self-aggrandization. What do I get from this? It's not about what do we do to build these teams or these athletes to be world beaters. Do you understand me? So you're not going to get anything out of it. You will never. It's the bottom line. You'll never ever get anything. So you'll always have factions, you'll always have people fighting. Why do you fight for what? If you can collectively come together to build a system, a structure for basketball, for example, because the girls are tops, they can perform, they could do far better than where they are today. I always tell you, the female teams in Nigeria will always excel in athletics, in basketball and all that. Our male are a bit arrogant and clunky in doing things, but the ladies are always more committed. They've got what it takes, but they need good management. It's not that the men can't do it too, the men can do it, but it all also evolves with good management. Taking away politics, taking away greed, not a situation where a coach is collecting money from a player to put a player in the team, or a member of the football association fighting for their children or family to play in the national team, or a member of government is asking someone to put their kids in the team. No, that's not it. Where is the nationalism? Where's that patriotism? Patriotism. I don't care where you come from. If you're good, you're good. If you're better than my own people, then my own people have to sit down and you let them, the others that can perform. Where would you have quota system in football? Where's that done? Do you understand me? So we have a lot of issues we need to resolve. Well, what do you expect? The athletes themselves are far more successful and far more exposed than the administrators. So the administrators obviously are always envious of those ones, and they make life difficult for them. Do you understand me? Where you have people that are not competent enough running a system, people that are not exposed, that haven't got the professional ethics to run the thing, that's what you get. Then the greed aspect, which is a standard norm for us in this country. Greed. Where people believe athletics is only, you being a member of the Athletics Federation is all about traveling. You understand me? He wants to travel, she wants to travel. She wants to be in the, what do you call them, in the group of people that are going away. See, you can never get no results. They're all fighting to get something. And then they don't care about the athletes. They want to be in a delegation that is going to travel. Do you understand me? So that's basically it. They're not interested in the development. They haven't got the zeal. You understand me, sir? So once you don't have those things, you can never get anything right. Yeah, the private sector is one. The cricket has more because, government involvement is not as, I think you have more of the private people, interested private people that have gone to schools, top schools, that played cricket in those days. Those are the ones that are promoting cricket. So you're going to get results, you understand me? Because they're far more exposed, they understand what it takes. So the commitment is there. They're using their own funds to push, to develop the game. You understand sports. So that's why cricket is picking up. Oh, you mean the National Sports Festival? I think for now we don't really need that. We need to do more with the private sector. I think the new chairman of the National Sports Commission, he seems he's an exposed person. I think he's got to sit right and see how he can profile solutions to these things and change the course of. He's got what it takes to do it. He just has to come out of that shell, come out of that darkness. I'll call it darkness, and come into real light. I think he has it. But National Sports Festival, I don't think we're ready. We really need that now. We need to do more with youth development programs. You see, a National Sports Festival in those days was more interesting because you had more schools, inter-school sports. And that is where the best athletes came from. We don't have that anymore. So first we need to build the school sports, schools, athletics and all that, build it to a standard and then go into national sports festivals. For now, we don't have that. And I think the National Sports Commission has to look into that, how they can work with the Ministry of Education and see how they can build that again. School sports. That's where you get the best. In those days, the best athletes. We knew those that will run, that will actually participate and run for Nigeria. We knew the ones that will do high jump, long jump, triple jump. We knew them, both female and females, from secondary school. You don't have that anymore. So where did they come from? Nowhere. So you have, like in those days where some schools will go and get mercenaries, pay for them to come and run. That's what you get today. So it's corrupt. Now, the Sports Commission has to work on that. It has to change it. I know they can do it. They just need to sit back and look at how they will change the course of things. If you want to unite Nigeria with good sports, then you got to give them good results, good teams that can perform. You understand me? In the process of winning competitions, or they have a team, or they have teams that have got the quality that can move the nation, then you unite. Everybody wants to watch good football. Everybody wants to see a great athlete running. You want to see a good high jumper performing at the best. When you see that, it draws everybody together. If you have a good national team that plays excellent football, look, Nigeria, when you look at our team, the 94 team. We were the 5th in world ranking. You were talking about ranking, which I don't really. When we really had a good ranking, we were number 5 in the world. The 94 team was number 5. The World Cup 94, we were rated as the 5th best team in the world. And you look at the style of football we played. We developed our own style of football, took it to the world, and we were respected. We don't do that anymore. We have to have an identity. You understand me? Our footballers are not the best. We're good, we're very athletic, we're strong, we're physical. You understand me? We've got to build that kind of football. We are not as technical when it comes to techniques and all that, like the Europeans. But when it comes to the physicality, you understand me, we're better. When it comes to the physicality, the mental strength, we have it. So you have to build around that. You're putting a bit of technical things there, but the main issues is we got to have the muscles, the strength to run any team down. That's the kind of football we should play. We're playing lazy football now. We have to play what we played then, where we run any team down. We can play 2-3 hours non-stop. We never get tired. We don't have that anymore. We can even string passes. We can't play 2 against 4, 3 against. We don't do it anymore. We're lazy. It's got to do with the kind of coach. It's not only the coach. Yeah, the coach and then the association, the federation. They don't have a vision. You have to know what you want to present to the world. It's like any other top team in the world. In Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have their own type ethos, their own style of football. And this is what they sell to the world. We don't even know what we're doing. We have to have what it takes to sell to the world. This is what we want to do. This is how we can perform. This is a style we're going to play. And that style we believe in. And then we build the youngsters from very early to play that same type of football. We have the manual that we can work with. Uniformity. Simple. That's it. No, it's individual and the corporate organizations. They're not doing enough. Everything can't just be government. Today, you don't even have Nigerians pumping money into sports like they used to do that. I'm sorry, I don't want to digress, and I don't want to say what my father did. I'm not promoting my family, but I knew how he invested millions of dollars building the national teams. Yeah, his personal funds. You don't get those things anymore. Do you understand me? You have to see the 94 team was done outside the outside government. It was done by individuals. That was why we were successful. But you don't have those things anymore. You just have a bunch of greedy leaders and greedy individuals or corporate bodies. It's all about them and their family. They're not giving it. So how do you want the kids to perform? How? All the kids are out there wasting away. We've got great talents in this country, but they're wasting away because we're not helping out. We're not encouraging them. We're not building structures, institutions where you can build those, you can develop those kids. Yeah. So they're on the street doing yahoo, doing all sorts of stupid things. Yeah. Because there's no competition. There's nothing to draw their attention. You understand me? Until we do those things, we can never ever change. We can't get it right. Yeah, well, for me, I don't see any difference for me, whatever you give to the female teams, you also give to the senior, to men. Because our team, our female team, at the world ranking today, we're tops, we're recognized. So you have to also allow, but for men, anywhere in the world, men always have an advantage. But doesn't mean the disparity should be so much. You give the ladies, I remember, when I was the FA chairman, I remember once the female team was in camp, and we went there in Ota. When we found out what they were earning, it was disgraceful. It couldn't buy their, I'm sorry to say that, what you ladies use, your pads, you couldn't even buy it. I had to tell them, these are women. Why are you treating them like rubbish? They have to be looked after. Because they're going to need more of those systems, because you have more wastage than men. Don't let me go into what I'm saying, but I understand. So the women have to be well taken care of. Yeah, simple. So you've got to give them what it takes. Strike a balance. You have to strike a balance. The solutions I'm going to give you, I can't give you a straight off head, right? But really, since first, we have to get rid of greed. We have to go away from all this religiosity in the system, because religion has destroyed the fabrics of a nation. See, being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever doesn't mean you've got to cheat people or lie to people or not show love. You understand me? Or the religious, when I come to religion, the churches, the institutions we have today are not developing education. There must be uniformity in education. They're not developing education. Education is key. But you know what we have today? Half-baked educated youths. Half-baked. And that's the worst you can ever have. And that is key in anything we do. First, to have good leaders, well-structured. In Germany, in Europe, and now, the kids that go to the best universities, some kids are developed, they're built up to be top civil servants. So they go to Oxford, they go to Cambridge, they become top politicians. Then you have the ones that will become big and top engineers, and now they go to certain universities. All those things are structured. We had it before in the past. It's gone. We've got to find the way. It's not about just giving licenses to universities. But for me, the foundation, education, is very key. When you have half-baked youths, and you have half-baked leaders that haven't got that structure in place, that proper education, they can never excel. What are you going to tell them? They will never get it right. So that's very key. Now, when you talk about policies, who are the ones that are going to put the policy papers together if they're half-baked? Because you need policy papers, you need to have a better understanding of your environment, of the society. You have to have a better understanding of how the society will grow. So if you don't have that in mind, you can never develop. So you need those things to make the nation change. I'm just giving it in a nutshell. Yeah, you need more commercial, you need more private sector funding, you need more sponsorship, and then, like I said, you need more training. You need to train your coaches. Our referees are the most Nigerian referees. Do you see any referee participating in any African Nations Cup? No. Because, and you're telling me it's the best league. That's the most corrupt league in the world. Because our coaches are not even, our referees are not even allowed. They never invite them for any Nations Cup. So what are we talking about? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Every match in the MPFL, most of the games, all home teams win. You don't see away teams coming to win. So are you telling me that's a balanced league? It's not a balanced league. It's a corrupt league. So that has to change first. When that changes, you understand me? And then other things will follow. You see, you have the National Olympic Committee that is run, by the private sector and government. Now you need to get the right people in the private sector to come in there to work with some people in government, people that have got the wherewithal, that got the financial muscle and the commitment to do those things. Not just people that are hustlers that just want to get something out of it. It's about people that want to give. That's what Olympics is all about. People that give, that are ready to give, to develop Olympians to be world beaters. People that truly want that mood, that soul of Olympics to excel. That's what we need. And that is what we have to work on. And that comes from leadership, that comes from the system, where you choose the right people that have got what it takes to build the Olympic team.
world of business is one filled with men and women willing to dine with risk. And when we seek African business shapers, we see individuals who have denied self to build conglomerates. From controlling over 90% of diesel trade in Nigeria, to almost throwing in the towel, then getting on the Forbes list, we present Olufemi Peter Otedola. The Nigerian businessman and philanthropist was born in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, on the 4th of November, 1962, into the family of late Sir Michael Otedola, the governor of Lagos State from 1992 to 1993. The University of Lagos Staff School, Akuka, welcomed Olufemi for his primary education and secondary education at Olivet Baptist High School, Oyo. Olufemi proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife, for his first degree, graduated and joined the family printing press business, working hard and gaining experience. Femi Otedola ventured out starting Center Force Limited. The company focused on finance, investment and trading. The oil and gas sector was Femi Otedola's next port of call. From quite a very humble beginning in the oil and gas sector, utilizing connections and networks of family and friends, he cultivated partnerships in diesel supply chain, him being the last man to the final consumer. Challenges breed opportunities, and in Femi's case, it was a late delivery of diesel from his supplier with a broken truck, and he caught the idea. He could do better and provide better services. He ventured into diesel supply business, buying diesel from a retailer and supplying to companies. Femi Otedola encountered several difficulties securing his supply and timely meeting the demands of his growing clients. This definitely was an opportunity he identified in the fuel retail market. Otedola secured the finance, and Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited was born, petroleum products marketing and distribution company. Otedola, owner and chairman of Zenon, in 2004 invested 15 billion naira in downstream infrastructure development and acquired storage depots at Ibadan, Apapa, as well as 4 cargo vessels, amounting to a combined total storage capacity of 147,000 metric tons. Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited also acquired a fleet of 100 DAF fuel tanker trucks. By 2005, Zenon controlled a major share of the Nigerian diesel market, supplying fuel to most of the major manufacturers in the country, including Dangote Group, Cadbury, Coca-Cola, Nigerian Breweries, MTN, Unilever, Nestle, and Guinness. Zenon Petroleum and Gas was the name on major invoices, and Femi Otedola the name on every lips, playing toe-to-toe with major multinationals. Zenon, in a very short period, silenced the competition and almost unilaterally determined the price of diesel in Nigeria. The competitors came to Zenon for supply. Femi Otedola, with the massive success Zenon Petroleum and Gas achieved, bought a 28.7% stake in African Petroleum. Otedola branched into the financial sector and aggressively stocked up the shares of leading financial houses. He became a top shareholder in Zenith Bank, United Bank for Africa, and the largest importer of diesel in Nigeria. He acquired major shares of Africa's Finance Corporation, Mobile Oil Nigeria Limited, Chevron Texaco, and Visa Phone. Otedola has his hands deep in real estate investments, including an acquisition in February 2007 by Zenon of Sterling House in Victoria Island, Lagos from the federal government. Lagos, London, Dubai, Monaco all have the signatures of FO Property Limited. He was appointed chairman of the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja and tasked with driving its expansion and upgraded to a 7-star facility. Otedola has served as a member of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council since 2004. Was appointed by President Goodluck Jonathan to Nigeria's National Economic and Management Team. Otedola is chief executive and president of the Seaforth Shipping Company Limited and was at one point Nigeria's largest ship owner after extending control over the distribution of diesel products. One of his ships, a flat-bottom bunker vessel with a storage capacity of 16,000 metric tons, was the first of its kind in Africa. In January 2006, Otedola was appointed a non-executive director of Transnational Corporation of Nigeria PLC, a multi-sectoral conglomerate established in 2004 by then President Olusegun Obasanjo to respond to market opportunities requiring heavy capital investment in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. He held this post until February 2011. Otedola was appointed chairman and chief executive of African Petroleum in 2007 through the acquisition of controlling stake in the business. Following Otedola's entry into the company, African Petroleum's share price rose sharply, increasing the market capitalization from 36 billion to 217 billion naira in 6 months. In March 2009, Otedola became the second Nigerian after Aliko Dangote to appear on the Forbes list of dollar-denominated billionaires with an estimated net worth of $1.2 billion. Otedola announced the move to upgrade African Petroleum's liquefied petroleum gas storage terminals in Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt in October 2009. Harsh economic conditions necessitated by the slump in the oil prices and credit squeeze of 2008-09 led African Petroleum to record a loss in 2009. With the world oil price crash came difficult moments for Zenon and Otedola. He was very close to complete bankruptcy.
I said to myself, I was not going to have friends and enemies. I was going to have only competitors. I had two options: commit suicide or weather the storm.
African Petroleum, rebranded in December 2010, changed its name to Fort Oil PLC. Otedola paid his near $1 billion debt and invested in the financial industry, making him a top shareholder in Zenith Bank and United Bank for Africa. Otedola restructured the business, focusing on technology and improved corporate governance, and in 2012, Fort Oil returned to profit. Otedola financed 57% of Fort Oil subsidiary, Amperion Limited, which acquired the 414 megawatt Geregu power plant for $232 million in 2013. Fort Oil improved financial position and diversification into power generation resulted in a 1,321% rise in its share price. The first half of 2014 saw the company's pre-tax profit more than double year-on-year to 4.1 billion naira. Revenue growth for the whole year was 33%. Fort Oil sold 70% of its equity to Swiss commodity trader Mercuria Energy Group in September 2015, giving Fort access to global commodity markets. The deal was thought to have given Otedola an estimated $200 million. In 2019, Femi Otedola sold Fort Oil PLC and announced plans to change focus from oil to power with his company, Geregu Power PLC. Geregu Power PLC became the first power generation company to list on Nigerian Stock Exchange, demonstrating to stakeholders in the sector how they can fix financing and make profits sustainably. The company's market capitalization is now 726.75 billion naira, and the share price now 290.7 naira from the 2.5 billion shares that were listed at 100 naira each. Otedola, the chairman of Geregu Power, sold down a Geregu stake to bring on institutional investors. In October 2021, Femi Otedola was announced as the single largest shareholder of First Bank PLC. FBN Holdings, the parent company of First Bank Limited, witnessed a commendable 437.9 billion naira surge in market capitalization. FBN Holdings appointed billionaire Femi Otedola as the new chairman of its board of directors, effective January 31st, 2024. Femi Otedola has had its share of controversies. Zenon was among the number of companies named in an alleged fuel subsidy scam report. This was followed by a case against Farouk Lawan for bribery. Otedola has also lost in the ever-evolving competing space of business acquisitions. Transcorp and Huheli Power Plant are two notable projects he closely bidded and lost. Femi Otedola philanthropy is quite remarkable. Otedola made a 300 million naira donation to the completion of the National Ecumenical Center in Abuja. In 2007, he gave 200 million to the State Security Trust Fund in a drive to reduce crime in Lagos. Donated 100 million naira to the Otedola College of Primary Education in Egbe. In 2008, he donated 80 million to the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Port Harcourt. Femi Otedola pledged and redeemed $25,000 to the Super Eagles in the match against Algeria in 2019 AFCON. He gave all 750 students of Augustine University 1 million naira each. Otedola sits comfortably on the Forbes billionaires list of top 20 richest people in Africa. Femi Otedola is married to Mrs. Nana Otedola and have 4 children: Olawumi Christy Tolani, Florence Ifeoluwa, Elizabeth Temi, and Fewa Otedola. Olufemi Peter Otedola is a standout astute business executive.
Wole Soyinka, born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded 2 theatre groups known as the 1960 Masks and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Yeah, this is Sound Man. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Babalola from Excel LED. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to watch, always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Boggaballs, and please keep watching SOUQ News.
Wale Seriki, SLG Lagos Island East, SOUQ News. Keep out watching them and keep a lookout for them. They're up and coming, and we're proudly to be affiliated with them.
You alone where they make me go crazy. This your love in the cool of my brain. You're my medicine, I need you all day. Yo, it's Blackface Nigeria, and you're watching SOUQ News TV. Keep it locked on this dial, don't change it. You know what I say? Blackface Nigeria, love no bad.
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the World News on SOUQ News Television. We are reaching you from our studios in Lagos. I am Grace Komalafe. First, we'll bring you some of our top stories. National Bureau of Statistics says the Central Bank of Nigeria reforms boost dollar liquidity and strengthen the naira. IPMAN has urged NNPC to pay 25 billion naira in petroleum equalization funds owed to its members. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un assures Chinese President Xi Jinping of continued support. Trump asserted that both India and Russia had lost to China in a summit with Chinese President. Fabrizio Romano says Ademola Lookman is expected to remain at Atlanta despite several interests. Thank you for joining us. Now we'll bring you the news in details. The Central Bank of Nigeria has recently improved dollar liquidity in the foreign exchange market, offering a temporary lifeline to the naira. Following months of volatility, the local currency appreciated by 1.1% last week, closing at 1,520 naira per dollar after a $50 million injection by the CBN and increased inflows from open market operation auctions. Analysts credit the gains to stronger liquidity conditions and renewed investor confidence. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that capital importation rose to $5.64 billion in fourth quarter 2025, up from $3.37 billion in fourth quarter 2024, marking a 67.1% growth. The banking sector was the top destination, attracting $3.1 billion, which is 55.44%, while portfolio investment dominated at $5.2 billion, approximately 92.25% of total inflows. In contrast, foreign direct investment remained weak at $126.29 million. While the short-term relief is encouraging, experts warn that sustaining naira stability will require deeper structural reforms to strengthen productivity, diversify exports, and reduce dependence on portfolio inflows. The Trade Union Congress, TUC, has vowed to oppose attempts by the National Assembly to transfer labor matters, including the minimum wage, from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list, where states would set their own wage standards. Speaking at the fourth Quaternary Delegations Conference of the TUC, Lagos State Council President General Festus Osifo described the proposal as anti-worker, retrogressive, and a threat to the unity of Nigeria's labor movement. The union argued that decentralizing wage determination would weaken collective bargaining, fragment labor standards, and expose workers to weaker states to exploitation. It stressed that a uniform national minimum wage is essential to ensuring fairness and protecting workers across the Federation. The TUC urged lawmakers to prioritize policies that strengthen labor protections rather than undermine them, warning of possible nationwide resistance if the proposal advances. And now the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, has emphasized the critical importance of implementing the Nigeria Insurance and Reinsurance Act, naira as the countdown to recapitalization for insurance and reinsurance firms enters its 11th month. The reminder came after the monthly Insurance Issuer Committee meeting held in Lagos on Wednesday. The Naira Act, signed into law last year, mandates insurance and reinsurance companies in Nigeria to meet new capital requirements within 12 months of its enactment. According to NICOM, successful implementation of the Act is essential to strengthening the resilience of the industry, improving solvency margins, and boosting the capacity of local insurers to underwrite big-ticket risks in oil aviation and infrastructure industry. Stakeholders present at the meeting agreed that capitalization would reposition the sector for growth and enhance public confidence in insurance services. With only 11 months remaining, NICOM urged operators to begin compliance steps early to avoid regulatory sanctions, warning that failure to recapitalize could force mergers, acquisitions, or market exits. The Commission reiterated its commitment to providing guidance and ensuring a smooth transition during the recapitalization process. And now the Nigeria Economic Zones Association, NERC, has called for constructive dialogue among stakeholders on the newly enacted tax provision affecting special economic zones and free trade zones. Speaking in Abuja, NERC's Executive Secretary, Toyin Elegbede, commended the federal government for enacting the Nigeria Tax Act 2025 and the Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025, describing them as important reforms to enhance fiscal transparency and strengthen revenue assurance nationwide. However, he cautioned that certain provisions of the law, particularly those related to XEZs and FTZs, could pose significant risk to Nigeria's investment climate if not carefully implemented. According to him, Nigeria's zones have long served as a hub for attracting foreign direct investment, fostering industrial growth, and creating jobs. Any ambiguity or restrictive tax policy, he warned, could undermine these gains. Elegbede urged government authorities, private investors, and policymakers to engage in open consultation to strike a balance between boosting revenue generation and sustaining the competitiveness of Nigeria's economic zones. He added that a collaborative approach would ensure that the reform contributes to national development without discouraging long-term investments. And still in the news, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has urged the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to settle long-held petroleum equalization funds owed to its members. Speaking on Thursday, IPMAN's Publicity Secretary, Chinedu Okadike, called on the NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer, Bayo Ojulari, to also clear marketers' loading tickets by supplying petroleum products already paid for. Okadike commended the new management of the NNPC for generating over 20 trillion naira in 4 months, but stressed that the company still owes marketers up to 25 billion naira in unpaid equalization funds. He warned that continuous delays in settling the debt could strain marketers' operations and disrupt fuel distribution nationwide. The association, however, expressed optimism that the NNPC leadership would address the issue promptly to stabilize the downstream sector. And away from that, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, has called for increased adoption of technology in agriculture to boost productivity, competitiveness, and profitability in Nigeria's farming sector. Speaking at the LCCI Agric Symposium 2025 in Lagos, the chairman of the LCCI Agricultural and Allied Group, Tunde Banjoko, emphasized that technology-driven solutions are critical to repositioning Nigerian agriculture in line with global standards. Banjoko noted that the sector must transition from subsistence practices to modern agri-business models that can attract investment and create sustainable value chains. Industry stakeholders and policymakers at the symposium echoed the call, highlighting opportunities in mechanization, precision farming, digital marketplaces, and data-driven decision-making. The LCCI stressed that adopting innovation is key to ensuring food security, creating jobs, and reducing Nigeria's reliance on food imports. The chamber urged government and private players to collaborate in building an enabling environment for tech-led agricultural growth. Moving away from that, the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure Development has intensified preparation for the maiden Lagos State Waterfront Summit, scheduled to hold next week. Speaking at a press briefing in Ikeja yesterday, the Commissioner, Dayo Alebioshu, highlighted the urgency of addressing challenges threatening the state's lagoon and waterfront. According to him, the summit themed pressure on the lagoon, the Lagos experience, will spotlight the increasing pressures on Lagos lagoon, stimulate informed discussions, and generate sustainable solutions. Alebioshu stressed that the summit aimed to bring together policymakers, environmental experts, community leaders, and private sector stakeholders to chart a path for preserving the lagoon while balancing urban development needs. He added that the initiative reflects the state government's commitment to safeguarding the waterfront ecosystem, mitigation pollution, and ensuring that waterfronts remain both environmentally sustainable and economically viable for future generations. You're watching the World News here at SOUQ News Television. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay with us.
Charity, at its core, goes beyond simple acts of giving or lending a hand. It is an expression of global solidarity, a force that unites people within communities and across societies. Whether through direct donations, volunteering time, or collective action, charity represents humanity's shared responsibility to care for one another. Over the years, the act of charity has evolved. It is no longer limited to meeting immediate needs, but has grown into a powerful tool for addressing systematic challenges such as poverty, inequality, and social exclusion. Charitable efforts today focus not only on relief, but also on empowerment, sustainability, and lasting change. Each year on September 5th, the world comes together to mark the International Day of Charity. The day serves as a reminder of the vital role charity plays in fostering inclusive and resilient societies. It was established to honor the memory of Mother Teresa of Calcutta, whose lifelong dedication to the poor and marginalized left an indelible mark on humanity. She passed away on September 5th, 1997, and her legacy continues to inspire acts of compassion worldwide. The International Day of Charity also serves as a call to action, urging individuals, governments, and organizations to strengthen the culture of giving, from grassroots initiatives in local communities to global campaigns tackling hunger, health, and education. Charity stands as a cornerstone of progress and human dignity. By commemorating this day, the international community reaffirms the timeless value of generosity and kindness. In a world still facing deep divides and pressing global challenges, the spirit of charity remains a unifying force, a testament that positive change is possible when humanity comes together. Chiki Okulu, SOUQ News TV.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Yeah, this is Sound Man. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Babalola from Excel LED. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Bogaballs, and please keep watching SOUQ News.
Wale Seriki, SLG Lagos Island East, SOUQ News, keep out watching them and keep a lookout for them. They're up and coming, and we're proudly to be affiliated with them.
You alone where they make me go crazy. This your love in the cool of my brain. You're my medicine, I need you all day. Yo, it's Blackface Nigerian, you're watching SOUQ News TV. Keep it locked on this dial, don't change it. You know what I say? Blackface Nigerian, love no bad.
Glad to know you're still with us. Now we'll bring you more stories on the world news. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has pledged continued support for China in safeguarding its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and development interests, according to North Korea's state media KCNA on Friday. Speaking during his bilateral talks with President Xi Jinping in Beijing on Thursday, Kim stressed the enduring bond between the two allies. The visit underlines the deepening ties between Pyongyang and Beijing as both countries face growing tensions with the West. Analysts note that Kim's statement signals North Korea's alignment with China's strategic interests at a time of heightened geopolitical rivalry in Asia, particularly concerning the South China Sea and Taiwan. The meeting also reinforces China's role as North Korea's closest ally and economic lifeline, underscoring their shared stance against US-led pressure in the region. India's top refiner, India Oil Corporation, has bypassed US crude in its latest tender, opting instead for 2 million barrels of Nigerian oil and 1 million barrels from the Middle East, trade sources said on Friday. The refiner purchased Nigerian Agbami and Usan grades from Total Energies and Abu Dhabi's Das crude from Shell, scheduled to arrive between late October and early November. The shift comes a week after Indian Oil bought 5 million barrels of U.S. West Texas intermediate traders. Note that while U.S. oil helped offset India's trade imbalance with Washington, high landed cost made West African and Middle Eastern barrels more attractive despite a narrow Brent WTI spread. Analysts said India's buying pattern reflects a balancing act between cost efficiency, geopolitical pressures, and diversification of supply as global oil markets face shifting trade dynamics. Moving ahead, European equity advanced on Friday, lifted by expectations of a U.S. interest rate cut later this month, while long-dated government bond yields eased from multi-year highs. The pan-European STOXX 600 gained 0.4%, tracking Wall Street and Asian markets higher. Investors are awaiting U.S. job data for further confirmation of a cooling labor market, which could look in a quarter-point cut when the Federal Reserve meets on September 17. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's dovish remarks in Jackson Hole have already boosted rate cut optimism. France's 30-year yield slipped from midweek peaks, and the UK's dropped after touching its highest level since 1998. Oil price, meanwhile, extended a three-day decline, with Brent crude oil $66.65 and U.S. West Texas Intermediate at $63.05, while gold started near record highs. Still in the news, U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday reached sharply to the recent summit in China, where Indian Prime Minister and Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. In a social media post, Trump suggested that both nations had drifted firmly into Beijing's orbit. The remark underscores Trump's growing split with New Delhi and Moscow as China pushes a new global order countered on the so-called Global South. Analysts say Trump's comments reflect concerns in Washington about geopolitical realignments, particularly as U.S. relations with both India and Russia face strains, while Beijing seeks to cement its role as an alternative power hub to the West. And now Brazilian mining giant Vale has announced plans to invest 67 billion reals, $12.36 billion in its operations in Minas Gerais state by 2030, reaffirming its push for safer and more sustainable mining practices. The announcement came on Thursday during a ceremony marking the reopening of a key mine in Ouro Preto, a city with deep mining history. According to Vale, most of the investment will go into expanding filtering and dry stacking solutions for iron ore tailings. The strategy is aimed at reducing reliance on dams, lowering their use from 30% to 20% in the coming years. The move follows heightened scrutiny of mining safety in Brazil after a series of dam-related disasters in Minas Gerais, including the 2019 Brumadinho strategy that killed hundreds and several damaged Vale's reputation. By shifting towards dry tailing disposal, the company hopes to minimize environmental risk, rebuild public trust, and position itself as a leader in sustainable mining operationals globally. And our New York Governor Kathy Hochul and migrant advocacy group have decried raids conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Cato and Fulton, which led to the detention of more than 40 adults on Thursday. Hochul, in a strongly worded statement, said she was outraged by the arrest, stressing that the actions left at least a dozen children at risk of returning home from school to find their parents missing. Advocacy group also criticized the raids, warning of the psychological and social toll on families and communities. They urged federal authorities to adopt more humane immigration enforcement measures, arguing that mass arrests erode trust and deepen fear among migrants. The government emphasized her administration's commitment to protecting vulnerable populations and ensuring that children are not left abandoned as a result of immigration crackdowns. The ICE operations have sparked renewed debate over immigration enforcement in New York, a state that has often positioned itself as a defender of immigrant rights and protections. U.S. President Donald Trump has insisted that his sweeping tariffs on imports will create jobs, boost the economy, and increase tax revenues. Speaking on the impact of the duties which cover most of the world, Trump argued that the measures are designed to protect American workers and industries. However, experts warn the policy may backfire by driving global exporters towards alternative markets like China, while also risking higher prices for U.S. consumers. Agricultural brokers told the BBC that they have already noticed a surge in interest in trade with China as exporters seek to bypass American barriers. Among the hardest hit is Brazil, the world's largest coffee producer, which now faces a 50% import tax on shipments to the United States. Analysts caution that while Trump's strategy may deliver short-term political wins, it could trigger global trade realignment that diminish America's leverage in the long run. Still in the news, U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration will impose new tariffs on semiconductor imports from companies not moving production to the United States. Speaking ahead of a dinner with major tech CEOs, Trump said the tariffs would be substantial but not too high, while exempting firms building or planning factories in the U.S. The policy reflects Trump's continued use of tariff as leverage to pressure companies and trading partners, despite concerns about market volatility and strained global relations. Apple, which recently pledged $600 billion in U.S. investment, was cited by Trump as an example of compliance with his push to onshore production. Taiwanese giants TSMC and South Korea's Samsung and SK Hynix have also announced U.S. chip investment. Trump previously signaled tariffs of up to 100% on foreign-made semiconductors, a move facing legal challenges after lower courts invalidated several of his earlier levies. His administration has asked the Supreme Court to reinstate tariff powers under a 10977 emergency law. And still in U.S., the dollar weakened against major currencies on Friday, paring back weekly gains as bond markets steadied and investors looked ahead to crucial non-farm payrolls data that could shape expectations for a Federal Reserve interest rate cut. The greenback retreats followed Thursday's report showing higher than expected jobless claims, which raised concerns about slowing momentum in the labor market. The data set the stage for the more influential employment report due later Friday. Bond market relied across the U.S., Europe, and Japan, easing pressure after recent fiscal worries had driven yield higher. Meanwhile, Wall Street continued its strong run, with the S&P 500 hitting a fresh all-time high, reflecting optimism that cooling labor conditions may give the Fed more room to ease policy. Analysts say a softer payroll report would strengthen the case for a rate cut as soon as this year, while a robust reading could delay action. You are still watching the World News here on SOUQ News Television. At this point, we'll take a break and we'll be coming back with more stories. Please stay with us. I will be wrapping up the news with some sport-related stories. Transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has indicated that Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman will remain at Atlanta after the Serie A club included him in their UEFA Champions League squad. Romano confirmed that Tottenham Hotspur made an approach for the Super Eagles star earlier in the transfer window, but the London side eventually opted to sign Randall Kolo Muani from Paris Saint-Germain on deadline day. Lookman, who played a crucial role in Atlanta's impressive campaign last season, had been linked with several clubs across Europe. However, his inclusion in the Champions League squad suggests that the Italian side sees him as a vital part of their plans. Romano added that Spurs' interest in Lookman was serious, but the move stalled once Kolo Muani became available on loan. With the transfer window now closed, Lookman looks set to continue his journey with Atlanta as they prepare for both Serie A and European Challenge. And lastly, Lionel Messi lit up Buenos Aires on Thursday night, scoring twice in Argentina's 3-0 victory over Venezuela, as Uruguay, Colombia, and Paraguay also booked their tickets to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Already qualified, Argentina treated their home fan to a dominant display, with Messi finding the net in the 39th and 80th minutes at the Mas Monumental Stadium. The 8th-time Ballon d'Or winner was met with thunderous applause in what marked his final home World Cup qualifier for Argentina. In other qualifiers, Uruguay secured their spot with a hard-fought win. Colombia's consistency saw them through, while Paraguay clinched their place to join South America's elite heading to North America next summer. For Messi, the night was more than just another brace. It was an emotional farewell to Argentina's home qualifiers, as 80,000 fans roared their appreciation for the captain who delivered the 2022 World Cup trophy and continues to inspire. That's a wrap on the news, but before we go, here is a recap of today's top stories. National Bureau of Statistics says the Central Bank of Nigeria reform boosts dollar liquidity and strengthens the naira. IPMAN has urged NNPC to pay 25 billion naira in petroleum equalization fund owed to its members. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un met with China's President Xi Jinping to reaffirm North Korea's support for China in a show of continued solidarity between the two nations. Following a summit, Trump asserted that both India and Russia had lost to China. And lastly, reports Fabrizio Romano indicated that despite interest from several clubs, Ademola Lookman is expected to remain at Atlanta. We say many thanks for watching. That's the news this afternoon. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News Television. My name is Grace Komalafe. Do have a great weekend.